Postman's getting ready to announce v11 at PostCon. Let's get caught up with the latest releases. The last major release was v10 that included support for gRPC and protobufs, integrated test automation with the Postman CLI, collaboration in partner workspaces, discovery in the private API network, template libraries and reports for API governance, contract validation for better API security, and native Git support for API documentation, tests, and specifications to sit alongside your code. Buckle up, here's what else is new. In API productivity, lots of productivity shortcuts like create custom keyboard shortcuts, configure your sidebar, auto-save your changes, and code generation in new languages. There's more ways to bring data into Postman. Import curl directly into the request URL, import collections by dragging files into the sidebar, or from other API clients into Postman. There's new authorization methods and automatic refresh for OAuth 2 tokens. Install a live insights agent to passively watch your API traffic for discovery, documentation, to find and fix issues. And if you only want to do one thing, and that's build and send an API call, there's a lightweight API client that lets you do just that locally and offline. Here's what's new in API automation. The Interceptor extension, which lets you capture network requests and cookies directly from a web browser and proxy them into Postman, is now available for all browsers. There are new updates to the collection runner, save a new execution order, schedule collections to run on Postman servers with environment files and other external data files. One of the most highly anticipated new releases is performance testing, using virtual users to see how your API operates under load. And there's new methods available in the Postman scripting sandbox to control your workflow, like skipping requests and tests based on conditionals. And if you don't want to do stuff manually, have a conversation with Postman's new AI assistant, Postbot, to generate tests, documentation, and debug APIs. Here's what's new in API collaboration. It all begins with collections and workspaces, and now there's better access control, secret scanning, tagging, and cloud file storage for your team. There's new ways to version your API with Git, new ways to work with Open API and do schema validation, new integrations with Microsoft Azure, New Relic, and a bazillion other platforms. Here's what's new in API experience. You can streamline onboarding with collection and workspace templates. API publishers can set up authorization instructions and analyze workspace metrics like common auth errors and response codes. There's more ways to customize your published documentation. The Flows visual editor has updated usability, custom styling, and new deployment options to run your API project in the cloud. And Postbot again, besides generating documentation for your collections, it can generate visualizations for your response data. That was a ton of stuff. Pause here for a recap. The last two things that I'll mention. If you love Postman but hate switching back and forth between Postman and your IDE, check out the Postman VS Code extension. Besides REST, SOAP, and WebSockets, Postman now supports even more API protocols, a brand new GraphQL interface, test server send events, real-time response visualization for MQTT, and even more support for gRPC. And that's all she wrote. Join us at PostCon for a sneak peek at what's coming up in v11.